This is Dan. Is there anyone there watching this? I'm just waiting for Luke, who's doing the interview, to dial in. Let's have a look. If you just bear with me a second. Okay, Luke's just trying the link again, and he should be with us in a second. Of course, we tested it earlier and it was working fine. And I'll try and get him on now. Fantastic start. Just stick with us, we should only be a minute. Okay, he's joining now. So we've got a few people already. They're always fantastic, these, when they go wrong. Gives you a lot of confidence, but I promise you it'll get better as we get into it, as soon as Luke joins us. Well, I can see where Luke's supposed to be. Hey.
Cool. Hey, Dan. There you go. Sorted.
How are you?
I'm good.
I've been trying to blag while we were waiting for to join. Probably unsuccessful.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Had a bit of technical difficulty there. For some reason, the link wasn't working for the login, but there we go. It's connected now. Cool. So, for guys who don't know me, my name's Luke, and I'm a seller on Amazon. So I've got Facebook group, so you guys probably know me from there, but if not, then that's me, and I'm joined by Dan tonight. So Dan, do you want to tell us a quick little intro about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'll start by just explaining that it might look as though I'm sat in a cave, but I'm not. This is my dining room. My office is upstairs near the kids' bedroom, and I didn't want to disturb them. That's the last thing I wanted, waking them up. So that's why it looks like I might be doing this from a cave. My name's Dan Ashton. I'm an Amazon seller, have been for 4 or 5 years. So for some people, that's a bit of an old timer. And I basically started quite late in getting into Amazon. So I worked for a lot of blue chip companies. I worked for British Airways. I was assistant vice president for an American bank. My last real job was for I worked in process improvement for a big tobacco company. And it was a bit of a strange journey to get into Amazon. I used to do bits of affiliate marketing and things like that, which I know a lot of people who get into Amazon sometimes come from that route because they're looking to make money online. But the way I approached it was my wife was actually about to give birth to our second child, and she had her commute on her morning was about an hour and a half, and I didn't want her to have to go back to work. So I was looking for a business that could set up. I'd set up, she'd take over. Long story short, I'd started an Amazon business And that was purely really for her to take over and her to run for herself. But once we got into it, we started to realize the potential.
Right.
So, we started with, we were going to get into PL, but we thought we'd start slow and started with retail arbitrage and online arbitrage and kind of built up our business. I think our first Amazon payout was just over £83, which we remember it because it's, I don't know, it's not much, but when you get your first payment, it's something. It's like,
it's real.
Yeah. It's even now when you still, when you check in your app to get and you see you've made a sale, you still get a buzz, and you did then. But within a couple of years, we've managed to get to Q4 when people were doing more than us, but we were doing over 20,000 revenue from Amazon in a month. We had a real business. But I was still, it's one of those, I had a well-paid job, pension, healthcare and everything. It was still it's a big jump to go from that to, you've got to have a lot of faith and confidence. Saying that, 2.5 years ago, I gave up my job. My wife had never gone back to work after maternity leave. We gave up our job, sold our house, and we moved from Liverpool in the UK to Mallorca. So we've been living in Mallorca in Spain for 2.5 years, obviously full-time online. And yeah, it's from something that wasn't the plan to get from something to here now. It's, I still pinch myself that if I hadn't got involved selling on Amazon, I would still be working a 9-to-5 job and whatever, and I certainly wouldn't be living somewhere like Mallorca.
Yeah, it's weird for me because I'm doing Amazon sort of full-time, but if it goes wrong for me, I don't really have much in terms of overheads or anything. So
yeah,
I can see what you mean in terms of big step. You've got a family, you've got mortgage, those sort of commitments. If it goes wrong for me, I'll just go, okay, I'll just go back to uni or something like that. Because I dropped out from uni to do Amazon, and so I haven't really got that much that I need to pay in terms of overheads or whatever. But yeah, that's a big step. But no, awesome. Sounds like it's worked out well.
Yeah, it has, and it was, it's one of those. Making the decision wasn't actually tough. It was like, because it was, if we don't do it now, we'll never do it. Yeah. And then again, and I know people get into selling on Amazon for different reasons. So I don't. Some of the people watching this, it's because they want a second income, they want to supplement what they're already getting, or they want to give up the day jobs, which is kind of what happened with me. Or it could be they could be at uni and trying to earn it. Whatever it is, there's different ways of getting into it, and that's the beauty of it, that it can suit different sellers for different reasons. And I think, because what we're here to talk about today is outsourcing, and that was particularly relevant for us because obviously we went from being able to, so we were in the UK, we'd already outsourced our online arbitrage to prep centres, but we did a lot of retail arbitrage, particularly in Q4, just buy it, get it in, buy it, get in, buy it, get in. We cut out the prep centres and do it as quickly as possible. So that, that was a big jump for us to go everything 100% online. Everything was 100% virtual. So when you've done that, when you're outsourced to that degree, you've got to make sure that it works, and it works well, because you're relying on a whole team of different people doing different things.
Yeah, for sure. I think I can definitely relate to that in a way. With now using a prep center, it's hard when you do some retail arbitrage and then not doing that anymore. Does sort of cut that bit of income out. But saying that, I know of at least someone who does outsource their retail arbitrage. They pay someone to go around. Yeah.
I know, but thing is with retail arbitrage, it's something I really like doing myself. It's I don't know, it's going into a shop and leaving. I mean, I seem to always do well at TK Maxx or something like that, and you'd come out with a trolley full of stuff, or going to Tesco when they're sale on and going out with 2 trolleys worth of stuff. And it's, I don't know, because you wouldn't know. Yeah, it really is, because, and then when that sells, you've at least, you've had the contact with the product. And I don't know, I'm probably reminiscing because I don't do RA anymore, so we can't do it. So even if I go into a toy shop now in Mallorca with my kids, I reach for my phone as I'm going to want to scan something, you know what I mean? I can't, but it's not going to work. But it's like that. Oh, I do miss that sometimes. Yeah. But that's why outsourcing works well.
Yeah, for sure. I've got a couple of messages on Facebook. People are struggling to connect, but there'll be a replay available. So if anyone's having trouble with connections, then don't worry about that. Just because I was joined late, who is here? So if you can send a message in the chat, let us know who is in, and then we can see. But yeah, sort of, I think you'd probably head on to, if we sort of talk about a bit about outsourcing. I don't know if what you'd like to talk about. If there's anything in particular that you want to talk about on that front.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's different reasons for outsourcing. So obviously, I've just given one from me in that I literally have to outsource my online arbitrage and retail arbitrage because I sell primarily in the UK and in Europe, but from the UK. So I have to outsource. I sold in the US for quite a while, so all my prep was outsourced then. So in some situations, you have to outsource, as you know. But I think it's important to. For me, it was getting to a point where, because I had a full-time job, I had to look, I couldn't grow my business. It was just physically not having the time to do it. And I firmly believe that in order to grow your Amazon business you need to concentrate on the things that add value to your business, and putting stuff in boxes and labeling things doesn't add value. Trawling through hundreds of results in sourcing software to filter out a few products doesn't add value. Making a buying decision, so when you've got a list of 10 or 20 products, making a buying decision, that's where you're adding value. Or when you're looking at pricing and things like that, that's when you're adding value, looking for wholesale opportunities and things like that. But getting a ton of products and trying to scrape the barcodes off with a knife or whatever it is so you can put your own barcodes on isn't adding value. So because my background was process improvement, what I would tend to do was look at a process and look at where there could be efficiencies in the process, what was taking the most amount of time, and could someone else potentially do that. So if I can share my screen, I can maybe give you an example of
yeah, sure, that'd be good.
Kind of thing I mean. Okay, so can you see what's on the screen at the moment?
I can, yeah. If you guys in the chat, just let us know if you can see the screen. Yeah, Steve says he's having trouble connecting, but that's in the chat, so I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, if you can hear Steve, there'll be a replay, so don't worry about that. And Duncan's here joining us. Yeah, hello, Duncan. But yeah, let us know if you can see Dan's screen, guys. But I'll assume they can from now, since I can see it. So
yeah, cool. If you can, they should be able to. So this is just really simple process map. It's using free free software, and it's just something I knocked up quickly to give an example of what it's like when you receive online arbitrage products at home, and the kind of process you have to go through. So it's it's self-explanatory. So you have to unpack and check everything. You have to remove the labels, create a shipping plan, print your products, print your labels and product them, box them up. Then you got to finalize your plan, stick the labels on the boxes, book your UPS and things like that. And this is a really useful exercise, I think, to go through with any process that you've got when it comes to Amazon. It helps you understand the nature of your processes, what steps are involved, if there's any potential efficiencies. But what it also does, if you start adding estimated times to each part of that, you start to get to the point where you can see how long something's taken. So in this example, and it's just rough estimates, but you're talking about 2 hours, from receipt to, getting something handed over potentially to UPS once you book them. And if you're doing that 2 or 3 times a week, then that 5 or 6 hours a week just shipping. And if you have got a part-time job or a full-time job, or you're a student, then that's a huge amount of stuff that's eating into your time that you probably don't have. So how can you possibly spend more time product sourcing if you're spending 6-10 hours a week boxing up products? And I think so. It's on the screen here. What I'm trying to show is just some example processes that you might do. So you're prepping and shipping, you're sourcing, everything that you do. It's useful exercise to go through, make a list, estimate some times that you spend with that, look at what's taking most of your time, And is that something that you can potentially outsource? And if it is, then, so if we look at prepping and shipping and product sourcing, straight off, those are our, the big, for me, they're always going to be the bits that take a lot of time to do. So those are the areas that we can potentially, that we can get some wins on when it comes to outsourcing. So I think if you go through the process of identifying what could be outsourced, it's then a question of, what things are your priority? So again, prepping, for me, it's an easy one. It's a kind of no-brainer. There's some great prep centres out there in the UK and the US. You do your research and you start talking to them. We visited a prep centre. We've had tours of prep centres. They want your business, and it's a really good thing to get into. One thing that is a bit more tricky to do is product sourcing. So outsourcing your product sourcing, and for me, this is a good example of when not to product source if you're not ready. So once I started on Amazon, quite early in my journey, I heard about you could outsource to a virtual assistant in the Philippines or in Thailand or in India, and they'll source products for you. And it's like, perfect, because I wasn't doing that well on sourcing products, and it was taking a lot of time. So I put an advert on, I think it was Upwork, if you're aware of Upwork, and looked for someone who knew how to source products, and got lots of applicants, picked one who was good, and the quality of what I was getting back was atrocious. It was just, so I then, probably over the space of 3 or 4 weeks, tried working with that person to improve where they were at with their product sourcing, but I was coming at it from a position when I didn't particularly know how well to product source myself. So for me, I was looking at it as a magic bullet, as they'll find lots of profitable products. If it was that easy, everyone would do it. Everyone would just go and hire someone who knows how to product source, and you'd have and it wasn't. So I had to take a step back. So that's one thing I would say. If people are thinking of outsourcing their product sourcing, make sure you know what you're doing yourself. Make sure you know. I mean, I know it sounds like common sense, but I did it the wrong way around when I started off with. So yeah, you would agree with?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something I've just gone through, hiring a few sourcing VAs, and I wouldn't even say it's just knowing how to source. It's about knowing what you want them exactly to do. Because you might know how to source, that's great, but it's like, okay, what are you going to get them to do? Because you need to. I mean, you can look at it from two ways. You can hire someone who already knows how to source, hire someone from scratch and teach them. You need to have an idea in your mind and go, what is the process? And then what process are you going to get them to do? You got to map it out for them. But obviously, you're right. If you don't know how to source, how they're going to source and how you're going to improve it if they're not getting the results. But yeah, just to sort of touch on a few things you mentioned, I think mapping your time out and looking at where you're spending your time is really something I've benefited from lately. I think it's such a beneficial exercise, and I think everyone here could just do that, even if they just do that for a week. Map out how you spend your time for a week. So it's something, I don't know about you or everyone else, but sometimes I just get a day where I'm like, where's the time gone? You don't realize how long you spend on some tasks. Exactly. I mean, it was today someone messaged me, they're like, oh, sorry I didn't get back to you. I spent 5 hours on prep. I thought it was only going to take an hour and a half, and prep's a classic. It takes so long. I mean, I remember just before Christmas when Argos have their 3 for 2s, and I wanted to sort of get my stuff in as soon as possible. And I think I was there on like the Thursday night when it started. I'd gone and picked all my stuff up from Argos. I started my prep at about 8 or 9 o'clock, and I was there until like 4 in the morning. Woke up at 8 to get the UPS, and it was just crazy because I wanted to try and get it in before everyone else, and because I knew the price was obviously going to tank if I could get it in and get a bit of that those margins before the prices drop. But yeah, it's those kind of things where I think definitely map the time out.
Well, it is, and if you think about it, and I think this is where some people struggle, or maybe they don't do as well when they're working on Amazon, is because it's a real business. You can run it like a hobby, but if you really want to make a success of it, it's a real business. And what would a real business do? They would have standard operating procedures. They would have all the processes mapped out. And I'm not saying you have to go to that far. You don't have to have flow charts or anything like that. But I think if you know exactly how many processes you've got and how they work, and then, as you say, you can then potentially start slotting them into your working week. So, you know, what are you going to do on a Monday? And I do coaching calls sometimes with people who sell on Amazon. I've done one with someone recently in the US, and a lot of the issues that they were having was that they were jumping from one thing to another. So they'd be looking at, I don't know, the results of some sourcing software, but really what they needed to do was get their shipment into Amazon. But because, and it's easy to do. We all do it. I mean, still do it now. So the mapping process helps you get to the point where you were then organizing your time a lot better. And then obviously outsourcing has the potential to free up your time hugely compared to, you know, there's only so many efficiencies you can make in a process. So if we're talking about outsourcing, a product sourcing, so like the process you've gone through now or recently with virtual assistants, you know that it sounds good in principle. It's fantastic when it works. It's just not that easy to make it work. And one tip I would give, and it took me a while to realize, is, and I don't know what you did when you so where did you hire your VAs from? What website?
I used Online Jobs.
Yeah. And that's the one I recommend. It. The Philippines is a great place to get virtual assistants from. If people haven't already, there's a lot of graduates there who have very good English skills, and you know, you can pay them a good wage in Filipino standards, so it's not slave labor or anything like that. They're still doing well out of it, and they're enthusiastic and they want to work. One of the first things I did when I realized the trick to this is when I was placing my job adverts, I didn't mention anywhere in the job advert about sourcing on Amazon. Amazon wasn't mentioned in the job title, the job description, anything like that. So if I was looking for someone to run product sourcing software, it's like Tactical Arbitrage or FBA Wizard or Source Mogul, the job title would be something like running software and analyzing results, and then the description would go into a bit more detail, but at no point would I mention Amazon, because as soon as you do that, you place your advert, you must know how many applicants you got in a short space of time.
That's kind of like the research I did, and it suggested the same. So I didn't mention Amazon at all. So I think my job title was things like data entry assistant or data analysis assistant, that. Yeah. And then it kind of hinted at what you're doing, and then I did. But then what I did do was then I had a demo video where and a test where they got given a product and they had to try and find the match on Amazon. It's but it was like at that stage there, the applicants they don't know it's Amazon, which you're probably going to talk about now, because you probably get tons of applicants when you deal with Amazon. And the thing, I don't know, maybe this is what you're going to go on to mention, but the thing I got warned about, and it makes sense, is that if you advertise for Amazon, you're doing product sourcing. Do you really want someone who's already doing product sourcing? So you could get someone who's then sourcing for multiple people, and that's kind of the issue that I thought of anyway. But that's what I thought of, and that's why I didn't mention it. And also, I wanted to have the processes that I use instead of someone who's got their own sort of processes. I wanted to sort of teach them the way I do things. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, you've summed it up perfectly. And I think, and like I say, that referring back to the mistake I made before, I thought I could just get someone who knew Amazon and they'd find the product. But they've been trained by someone else. You don't know who that is, and who, you know, if you mention Amazon, they will have been trained by someone else, following someone else's methods, using someone else's criteria, whether that's using sourcing software or manual sourcing. So we have a team of virtual assistants now who do a mixture of manual sourcing and using sourcing software. And it gets embedded and ingrained the way they've learnt it, and they make assumptions all the way through.
Yeah.
So if someone is making an assumption, even if you tell them not to, they're still, it's just so embedded and ingrained with them that they will just do it and keep doing it that way. And it's very difficult to coach someone long distance and get them to change their fundamental way of working. It's so difficult. And I think, well, we're come on to the kind of training side of things, I think, in a minute, but I think it's definitely worth talking about the hiring of virtual assistants. So, as you said, onlinejobs.ph, it's probably the best way to recruit someone. Even if you don't mention Amazon, you'll get 50, 100 applicants in 24, 48 hours. There's lots of people out there, so you've got to narrow them down. And I think your way of narrowing down is you've got to a point where you were giving people a test, and I think that's a very sensible way to do it. Some people aren't comfortable or don't know how to make videos, or so I think it's very important that if you're hiring a VA, you have a think about, if I'm going to be working with this person, what do I want them to be like? What do I want their behavior to be like? And what do I want my relationship to be like? Because it's worth bearing in mind, they might be working long way away from you, different time zone, but you still have to manage them and you still have to coach them. And the stronger relationship you can build with them, the better they're going to work for you, the more loyal they're going to work for you, the less chance they're going to be working for someone else at the same time. So, I mean, another example, I had a virtual assistant who's product sourcing for me and was also product sourcing for a friend of mine at the same time. So we both get in the same results from the same VA, and it's just complete fluke that we were talking and we found out about it. So, it will go on a lot. And the more you can build a rapport and a relationship with someone, the less likely that is to happen. And again, I'll talk about another way to mitigate that a bit later on when you're managing your VA. So at the interview stage, it's good if you can get a flavour of, even if you get like a flavour of the personality. It's difficult when you're dealing with people from the Philippines because they want to please, so they will say anything that they'll rarely complain, and they will say anything that you want them to do. So we've tried to get feedback from our virtual assistants to help us work better with them, and it's impossible to get them to say anything bad about you. It is. But we try. So I think you go through the interview stage, so whether that's an online interview, whether that's Skype, whether that's questions, and you narrow down your virtual assistant. What we found, and I don't know if you found the same, is that trialing, if you're looking for one virtual assistant full time, to trial 3, 4, 5 for a week.
I've got a bit of an interesting story, but I'll come on to it.
Okay. So and it'll cost you. You don't. I would say you wouldn't have to pay them as much as you would when you take them on. So start them at a week as a trial, $2 an hour, $2.50 an hour, and once they're through you've chosen, you can put their salary up to $3 an hour, wherever it is, but do not hire someone full time to do product sourcing for you without doing a week's trial. But you've got me intrigued now about your story.
It's nothing that interesting. It's just a case of I was looking to, I just said, try and trial a few people. So I was like, I want to try and maybe hire 2, so then I've got, at least I can compare results. And because if they're not finding stuff, then I don't know if it's me or if it's them. But if I've got 2 and they're both not finding stuff, then it's like, it's probably me. But if one is and one isn't, then I can kind of get an idea. So I was like, okay, so I narrowed it. So I got all the results, I got everything, the test, narrowed it down. I got 24 people to do a Skype interview, which is quite a lot. Then I had I had 10 where I was like, I can't really sort of differentiate them. I was like, I'm already doing it. If I do 1 and I do 10, I didn't think there's probably not that much more time to invest, because I'm giving them the same sort of training guides and stuff. But yeah, you're getting 10 times more products to go through. But anyway, I had 10 for a trial. I was down to 8 after the first day, and then I sort of got to the end of the week 8, and I was like, okay, these guys are all pretty good. I was like, I don't really want to get rid of any of them because I've got these 8, and like I've invested this time. I was like, okay, I'll do 8. And after the first week, I was like, okay, I've got to get these 2 that aren't really performing. I need to get my numbers down. I've got too many. It's just crazy. I'm not at 6 VAs though, and into the 4th week, I'm like, shit. Like I don't want to get rid of them. They're all doing all right. But it's like I've got 6 VAs here. It's crazy.
At that point in time, you don't need 6 full-time VAs. Yeah.
No. So yeah, I've got a couple of things I'm doing about that to make it work. But yeah, they're just, because realistically, they're finding more deals than I've got the capital to buy. So
that's fantastic.
It's good. It's good. It's a good problem to have. But yeah.
And I think that shows the value of interviewing and trialing a lot of people. And if you just do one at a time, it's going to take you a long time to find the right person. So you might get lucky in your second or third, but if you're just doing one person a week, it's going to take forever. I don't think when I've just been recruiting one, I don't think I've ever done 10 trial 10 years in one go. I'm impressed with that.
Yeah, I think if I was going out again, I don't think I'd do the same. I mean, I had some like crazy hours that I put in, but at the same time, it's like I'm hoping that this short term now will start to sort of die down, where they're starting to get to the stage where they know what's a good product, they know what isn't. They're starting to get a bit more automated. I now get like a sheet each day that I can just go through. So it's from the point where I was just doing everything like I did after the first week. I got them to do a task, and for the second half of the day, on the Thursday, and like I went through all of them, and it took me like 5 hours to give feedback on all the products they found. But it's like that's kind of a short-term investment, because I can use that if I ever hire someone again, and B, it's like giving them loads of information, so hopefully they use that and implement that. So hopefully it's a short-term investment that'll pay off, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, it's in the long term it will pay for itself, and the amount of time it will free up for you. And are they manually product sourcing? Are they using sourcing software? How are you doing it?
So it's a bit of both. Like at the start, mainly just TA, because I find it's pretty easy to do, because I can set up scans, and then so the way I do is I'll set up scans, and then I'll move the data into a folder for each VA. So I'll have a folder with each VA's name on it. Once the searches have run, you can filter the view data by each search process. I'll then just move all into each VA's folder, get them to go through that, and then I'm slowly introducing them into manual sourcing and build that up. And then I'm looking to potentially get to the stage where I have sort of 3 specializing in manual, 2 or 3, and then 2 or 3 specializing in tactical arbitrage type stuff. And I want to build up so they're eventually doing their own scans and it's a bit more automated, because it's like you said, doesn't think like, oh, you set up a few scans and move a bit of data, but it ends up taking sort of half an hour, 45 minutes every 2 days, and it's like it adds up. And so it's all these things like where it's time mapping, that you see these and you go, okay, like you look at that and you go, what time am I spending? Do I have to be doing this task? Can I eliminate it, or can I get someone else to do it? And so it's slowly building up. At least that's the way I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like it's with anything. It's you when you're thinking about it, it's like it'd be easier and quicker if I do it myself. So you do it yourself. You'll set up a scan, or you'll make a bulk file for TA. You'll put together, and because you'll do it yourself, because by the time I've shown someone how to do it, and it's so difficult to get away from that, because it's true, it will be quicker and easier that time, but then you got to do it the next day. So yeah, I mean, we were the same when we started off, but we've managed to get to the point where our VAs can build bulk files, so we can say, we'll give them, they've got a list of stores in TA, and we can say, go out and find all the toy category URLs, and they can build a bulk file of those and run that through without, if they want us to check it, we will, but they can run that through TA without us getting involved. I know we're talking specifically about TA, the same kind of principles with FBA Wizard, or if you're using Source Mogul, but because in TA you can have preset filters just going back a step, what we've done is we create a sourcing schedule for each of our virtual assistants. So it takes a bit of time to set up, not too long, but we show them exactly. So we'll say, run a bulk file on toys, or run this store clearance URL, run a bulk file on sale URLs, or whatever it is, and so they can know exactly what order to follow things through on. They know how to go and create a bulk file if it doesn't already exist, but we've got a lot that are pre-created. So they will just basically follow that schedule through, and we'll tell them what filters to use. So we have preset filters that might be, I don't know what we'll call them, filter 1, and that is to remove all products that don't make a profit based on a 3-month time period. or
Okay, yeah.
it might be based on a 1 month time period or something like that. So we'll say, so do that, go to tactical arbitrage, run that bulk file based on filter 1, and they don't have to think about it. So what we do is eliminate any kind of where they might have to make a choice about something.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that is, again, we realized fairly early on, is if you were giving someone a chance where they have a decision to make, it's not really their fault if they don't make the decision,
Yeah.
the right decision. So if you can break it down, it's almost like they're not even product sourcing. They're just following a step-by-step process that happens to result in you hopefully getting a spreadsheet with a ton of products on it. Over time, building up their understanding of Amazon and things like that will definitely help, because they'll be able to remove products, more and more products that are no good. But if they're following a step-by-step process and they just go through it and go through it and go through it, it might not be very interesting for them to start off with, but it just gets them grounded in the basics and means, again, that they're less likely to make mistakes. And I think that's worked well for us. And I mean, how have you found with the manual sourcing? Because that's obviously trickier. Well, I think it's trickier because they have to make more decisions themselves.
Yeah, and I think it's going back to what you said towards the start. It's kind of knowing how to do something yourself and then also outlining that process properly. Manual sourcing is not something I've done to a great degree. I mean, I do like stuff like hot UK deals where I'll check through that each night, quickly spend like half an hour, but it's not something that I've set down and set up keeper alerts for price drops or gone through clearance sections. Even when I was starting out, I just went straight away and was like, okay, I can get free trial for tactical arbitrage, I'll do that. And I did that. So it's one thing where I'm kind of now, it's like I'm trying to get them to do some manual sourcing, but it's something I've not really done. And it's difficult because now that I'm managing these VAs, I spend so much time doing that, just going through the products they find, giving feedback, and I do all the other stuff then I've got to do purchasing for those products, and because I find so many, that takes time in the pricing. And thank God I've got my prep outsourced, because I don't have time for that. But it's then I'm doing all the day-to-day things, and it's tough now to get the time to then me sit down for a day and outline exactly, okay, how am I going to get into manual source and then train them. So it's difficult. So I think I definitely agree. Before you hire someone, know exactly what you want them to do, know how to do it yourself, and then know what you want them to do. So another thing I'd say is if you are thinking about hiring someone, if you are doing, for example, a day of sourcing on tactical arbitrage, note what it is that you do sort of step by step. So then you're not going back and going, oh, what did they do? And then trying to draft something up, because you probably know this, when you are telling VAs what to do, it has to be exact. It has to be do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, because they've got no idea. It's like you're talking to someone who doesn't know what Amazon is in a way, and some of them probably don't. I don't know if Amazon isn't even in the Philippines, so they might not even know what Amazon is. You've got to go, and it's like you're talking to your mum, for example, about how to source on Amazon. You've got to say this, exactly how it is. So if you are thinking about it, while you're sourcing, it might take you half an hour extra over the course of the day, but note down, or even better, make videos of what you're doing. And then when you come to train VAs and you've got that and you know what they need to do, and also record sort of how the day goes and your expectations. Because if you're finding 10 products a day, for example, that you're buying from a day of sourcing, then you know, okay, cool, that's 10 products. That's what, obviously not going to find 10 products straight away because they need to build up that experience. But then you know, okay, I expect 10 products in maybe 3 or 4 weeks time. Whereas if you just go, oh, I want you to find 20 products, but you don't do it, it's like, how do you know, it's not really fair on them. But at least that's my thought process, and it's something that I kind of wish I'd done a bit better when I hired them anyway.
Yeah, and it was exactly the same for me when I started off. And I think something you've touched on there is really important, as well as expectations. So I mean, we've had people approach us saying, okay, will you just train a VA for us? Yeah, we can do that. We'll need a bit more detail about your criteria and things like that, but let's just sound things out. because we charge about $600 to train a VA.
Yep.
And they say, well, how many products could they find a day? And it's tricky, but I'd be conservative with it, because I don't want to go and say 50 products a day, because they won't. In particular, if they're manually sourcing, they might find between 10 and 20 products a day, when they're up and running. And if you were buying a quarter of those over a week, you're buying 5 products a day that they're finding, and you're buying multiple ones of those products.
Loads.
It's a ton, and they're paying for themselves, time, 200%, 300%.
Especially as well when you think you're going to be replenishing some of those as well.
Yeah, exactly. And some days will be better than others. But this person who'd approached me, that was so low on their expectation scale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe a virtual assistant out there who can find 50 products manually sourcing, that every single one of them is profitable. I mean, that's fantastic. If you find someone like that and you've got the capital to spend on 50 products a day, that's great.
Yeah.
But it's being realistic. It's like a big complete. So we also do a product sourcing list service. So that's something else you can outsource. When we sold in the US, the only sourcing we did was through product sourcing lists, one-off subscriptions, because it's just quicker and easier rather than sourcing themselves. And we do that. And I say to custom ours, don't expect to buy every product on the list. Some days you might not buy any, but if you look at what you can buy over the period of a month and what you can potentially make off that, even just by buying a few, a couple a day or whatever, then it's you've got to be realistic, and it's the same with expectations of what a VA is going to get you, and it isn't a golden bullet. And especially if you're pushing them for more, then so here's a question: do you pay your VAs by the hour?
So it's full time, so I just pay them monthly. So it is pretty much by the hour. I mean, I use FBA Multitool because it's got time tracking. Okay. Personally, I've always used Buybot Pro, but I use FBA Multitool just because it's got time tracking and like a screen capture inside of that. And then I'll just check that at the end of the week to see sort of how many hours they put in, scroll through a few screenshots just to be like, okay, they are actually doing the work. It doesn't take long, but it adds up. Like if you're doing that for 6 people, it does add up. But that's what I do.
The reason I ask is because I know some people follow a different payment model, and they will pay on results. So if someone finds X amount of products a day, then they'll get paid that, or they won't get paid until they find that amount. And it's just, for me, that doesn't. I think I can see some reasoning behind it, it's like an incentive, so they're trying to incentivize the VA. But if you think of someone, if they haven't found enough products in that 8 hours, they're going to keep working, and they're going to do 10 hours. And it just doesn't work for me. I'm not necessarily criticizing it as a model, but I think, like you say, if you're checking people's work and you're seeing that they're working and you're getting some results in, then you pay them a fair wage for what they're doing. We use Hubstaff. I don't know if you're aware of Hubstaff. It does a similar kind of thing. It's time tracking. So for people who are watching this, it's a good way of monitoring what a VA does. So it sounds exactly what you've just described. They log in at the beginning of the day, and it will take random screenshots throughout the day, and it will also show their active time. So if they've been active for 60% of the day, as in they've been typing and doing something on the computer, that's what I'm back with.
That's cool.
It is. And so we don't expect our VAs to work 100% of the day. About 70% seems to work about right. They've got other things to do during that time. And but we've had VAs who've worked like 30% of the time. We tried to up it, and we'll give someone chances. We'll try and coach them through it and try and find out why. But that's just anything below 50%, 60%, and it's not really
You got to think about like what you're doing with the time, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And the random screenshots will show you so much, and they'll give you an idea. I mean, with some of our VAs, we've managed to get to the point where we just track their time. We don't do the random screenshots.
Yeah.
So if someone's been with us for a year or 18 months, then I just think, it's a nice thing to be able to say, we're not going to, because it can feel intrusive. And I don't know how you felt about it at first. I felt a bit intrusive asking someone to do that, because if it was me, I wouldn't want someone, taking screenshots all the time, check it. But I think they expect it, and it's really the only way you can establish some trust to start off with.
Yeah, I think it is a difficult one. I mean, it is tough. I think it's like you said, it's just, unless like hub staff sounds really good, where you can get a record of their active time, that sounds cool. Because even with screenshots, the difficulty with that is you've got to then, it works in two ways, because then if they know they're getting screenshots taken, that it's a bit of a, okay, I've got to, because the way FEMO's called, you check in, check out. So if they check out and then they go and do their stuff, it won't take screenshots. But if they're checked in and doing random stuff, then like it's in place in their mind, like, okay, I can't really just go onto Facebook or whatever. That's one good way it works. But then at the same time, it is a bit weird sort of taking the screenshots, and it takes time to go through them. Like that's the thing, I don't go through them all. I'll just flick through randomly. And especially on those, like if they're not finding many products, I might go have a look at.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the way I look at it is it's still early days for me. If people aren't finding products, that's fine. It could just be a bad day, bad couple of days or something, and maybe they haven't got something I've explained. As long as they're trying and they take on the feedback, that's fine. But the problem I have is like with one of the VAs, for example, in the training I did feedback videos for all the products that the VAs found, and I asked them to go through all of them. And in like two of the videos, I gave them a task to do, just to make sure they're watching the videos. And like they didn't do either of the tasks, and I just said to them straight away, I'm like, did you watch these videos? And they were like, yeah, watch them. And okay, like, why didn't you do the task? And they're like, oh, sorry, I forgot. And I was like, well, I can't. Like, I don't mind if you do something wrong or whatever, that's fine. But it's when they don't put the effort in, it's like, well, it's not going to work.
No, that's a really good tip. I like that. Then that actually makes me think, going back to the recruitment side, when you put the job advert in, because you're going to get 100 applicants, putting in a line in the job advert to say, when you apply to this job advert, can you, mention, whatever it is, a word, or ask them to tell them something about themselves specifically, because they'll just be sending out so many generic applications. So I think that's a really good tip. I like that.
I don't know about you, but I think I got like 260 applications, and I didn't even read them, because at the end of the day, you can't sit and read them all. And it's weird actually, because it's kind of off topic, but so last year, like at uni, I was applying for like summer placements and stuff, and you spend like ages doing all these tests and everything, and then you don't even speak to a person. You just get a generic sort of rejection email from some of them. That's just the way it works. And you get annoyed, you're like, oh, I haven't even got any feedback or spoken to anyone, wasted all this time. But then it makes you think, like, being on the flip side of it, it's like, well, you just can't, like, like go through all these applications and stuff. So that's why I did it the way I did it. Like you said, I got them to answer a question in the subject line. And then all of the people who did that, I then got their name, first name, last name, put it into a .csv file, and then use my email marketing to send them all an email asking them to do a test, because like that's just the only way I could really do it. And then I had sort of numeric results where I could go, they got that. Then I sort of had a quick skim of their profile, their like just whatever, just to sort of check them. And that's why I narrowed it down to 24 people. And even that took ages. Like, I'd love to have had a VA just to do that. It takes ages, it takes longer than you think, but that's the same with everything. Everything just ends up taking longer than you think. But just sort of going back to the deal sheets, I think that's interesting, great points that you made. I think a lot of people from my experience complain about the number of deals found from deal sheets, but in reality, if you find, even if it was just one deal a week, realistically, that's going to cover the cost of the deal sheet. And I'm not saying this to promote anything. I don't have any deal sheets or whatever that I promote. I'm just saying it purely because I've had experience with them, and I know it's hard because I've got to remind myself of that sometimes, because you go through these sheets and you're like, no, I don't want to buy that product, don't want to buy it. But at the end of the day, if you get that one sort of gem or whatever, and I think it was actually, which I'll talk about later when I'm doing the course that you did, the Amazon course, and the deal sheets that come with that. And there was one product where I found, and it's an Xbox game, and I bought sort of 6 or 7 to test it, and it sold better than the keeper suggested. And it was great, so I bought it, replenished it, and I've replenished it about 4 or 5 times, and like I've probably made like a couple £100 from it, and it's just from one product, and it's like that one product. Yeah, it's just, and I think that was
from one of mine.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, but it's weird though, because it's like, and that's why I like to test a lot of products, because if something's sort of marginal, a lot of people will just disregard it or whatever. But this product, so it was like, it only looked like it was selling 2 or 3 times a month, but it was really, really stable and everything. So low competition, great profit. I was like, okay, I'll buy 2 or 3 to test it. I think I bought 3, and then it sold within like 4 days. I was like, okay, so I bought 6 or 7 more. Sold again within a week or so, and I've just, hopefully, fingers crossed, it stays the same.
Perfect.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
so
that shows there's a lesson to learn about Keeper, that it's not always accurate.
Yeah.
But also, I think, again, when you're looking at the results, that whether it's a product sourcing sheet or a virtual assistant, that what's your criteria for product sourcing? So if it's £10 profit, has to sell 50 a month, has with less than 10 sellers on the listing, you know what I mean? And I think some of that is a question of being realistic, and because some of the deals that you're talking about, because these are the ones I did explain the videos for to say, and so I think it's when you're dealing with VAs, it's worth having as open mind as possible. So if you get a product and you think at first glance that sales rank doesn't look great, it's not making much profit, to take a look at it a bit further, because you might find that the sales rank isn't great because it's been out of stock for a month in the last 3 months, or because it's been FBM.
For sure.
Products that I love to find are products where it looks like the selling price is quite close to the actual source price, but when you go into Amazon, they're all being fulfilled by someone in Europe, and they've been sold in the UK, so they've got really big markups on postage and their FBM. No other seller will go on that listing or it's unlikely, because they won't find it. So I think it's good having, if you hire a VA and you think you're not getting good results, just have a little, I'm not saying they will be finding gems, because they won't know how to find those, but maybe have a bit of a deeper dig into them, because there's so many products out there that even if you might only make a couple of sales a month, if no one else is selling them, why shouldn't you get those sales?
Yeah. I think there's a few things there. One thing, I'm trying to remember them all. I was trying to keep track of them in my head, but I think it's one not really related to outsourcing whatsoever. But if a product in general, if something's easy to do, everyone's going to do it. So I think wholesalers, for example, is a good example. If you go into Google and type in toy wholesaler, that first result, you're not going to be wanting to source there. And it's like you said, if you get a product, or even some of the best products that I've found, I've got by accident. So there's one product where I bought it, they sent it to me, and it was actually a mismatch. It was for a different listing, and the listing it was for was actually amazing.
Oh, really?
And I let a lot of people just get it. Yes, and no one found that product because it was by accident in a way. Another one, Argos, where I bought an item, and the actual listing on Argos was an assortment, but they didn't say that on Argos. So I got all these toys, and I was like, what the hell? I was like, okay, I'll take them, go home, go have a look, and I can always return it if I want to. And they were great, and they sold really well for a while. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, like you said, with those FBM listings, it's when people don't put the effort in to check them or whatever, those are sometimes where you're going to find the great listings. So another one for me is, I hate people who base stuff on current sales rank alone, because and that's something I preach about, because it's just a snapshot, and even if you use an average, it doesn't say what that average is for what price point it's at. Like you said, you could have had an out of stock item where you go back 3 months, and if you're buying it for a £5, and 3 months ago it was selling 50 units a month at £15, sounds like a pretty good item to me. But now the sales rank is 600,000 because someone's trying to sell it at 60 quid.
Yeah, exactly.
And like people like go, especially people who are just starting out, they go, oh, but sales rank isn't good. And like, well, they go, what sales rank should I be looking for? And it's like, oh, then I get my generic keeper essential kind of thing. And I think that's if one thing to take away from tonight, and not even outsourcing related, is just the easy something is to find. I think probably it's not really worth it as much. But yeah, I think the other thing, if I can remember, I don't know, actually there's quite a lot. I think there's some great points that you made, but yeah, I think just even with deal sheets, like you said, it's just looking through those products, and even if you only buy 2 a day, then in a day you're going to be profiting a lot from it. Same with the VA. If your VA finds 2 products that you buy every day, you're going to be making a profit. Because even if at the end of the worst case scenario you break even from those products, then if you buy them, half of them again next month, and then a quarter the following month, and so on, like that's all going to be profit from there. But yeah, no, some great points there.
Yeah, but I think the point you make about sales rank, I mean, you said it wasn't really related to outsourcing, but it is, in the sense that if you were training your virtual assistant to find products based on sales rank, whether that be average sales rank or by current sales rank, then it's not going to work. And in the same way, you might a product might look good today because of its sales rank, but it might and it not be a good product, you know what I mean? So you will, as well as missing good products, you're going to be buying some duds that when you send them in, the sales rank's got back to its normal one. This might be a good opportunity for me to share my screen again.
Sure.
So, because one of the things we were going to talk about tonight was, so the way we train our virtual assistants is, right, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so when we started training our virtual assistants, we came up with processes on how to train them, and we mapped everything out. We did videos and things like that, and we got to the point where we said, this is something that's really good, and we were showing it to other people, and they said, can we have that? And okay, you can. You've got to have to pay for it, but you can have it. So, but I just, because it's related to what we were talking about. So this is virtual assistant product sourcing training. So this is training a course on how to train a virtual assistant on how to manually source products on Amazon. But the bit I wanted to skip to was analyzing products. So this is a course. So the virtual assistant will go through this course themselves. So we'll tell them there's a module lesson on what Amazon sales rank is about, because they need to understand what that's about, and we'll start to go through screenshots and everything like that. But the bit I wanted to show you was we showed them 3 ways of analyzing products. So there's what we've just been talking about. So the first method is to show them the current choosing products based on the current sales rank and the buy box price, because that's what some people want to do. We also show them how to analyze products based on the average 90-day sales rank and buy box price. But as you and I have just talked about, that doesn't always work very well because of the points we've made. So this is where we come on to using what we have is another method where we train them on how to use Keeper to count sales. Now, again, it's still not going to be scientific, but it's certainly going to get you a lot closer to finding a product that sells at a certain price over a period of time, and you're going to get more accurate results. So we train them exactly, I mean, if you can see on the screen, but we go through quite in depth on how to do that. Even we've got little bits in there that gives it, if they're not sure about what something is, it gives it as a glossary reminder. But yeah, we go through exactly how to manually source a product based on Keeper graphs, and it's not an easy thing to do. Because it's a difficult thing to learn yourself. So it's something that we had to break down again into a step-by-step method as much as possible to try and take the decision points out of there from the virtual assistant, so that they're not having to decide, is this a good product or not? You're going to tell them this has got to make a minimum of 5 sales a month, and then can do that by counting keeper, and the price that it sells at has got to be an FBA price of, you know, X amount to make a profit of, you know, it's got to make a profit of this based on that price. And if you can do that, you're still not giving them they're not necessarily becoming Amazon product sourcing experts. They're still following a process, and you're giving them the exact criteria to follow to do that. We put the different methods in there because some people do like to base things on sales rank, and we can't ignore that because it's not how we like to do it. But yeah, that's something that we find, you know, this is the exact thing we put our VAs through, and it works well for us. Yeah,
I think sort of talking about that, I think I'm in a really good position to sort of talk about my experience. So I opted to go through the route of doing stuff sort of myself. I had help, like I did quite a lot of research. I bought like a Udemy course for like a tenner on generic sort of hiring and training the VA. So I did my own research and stuff, but I think looking back in hindsight, it just took so much time. When I was recruiting, I guess that's stuff you kind of had to do, but just creating the training documents, it took so much time to do all that. Because like you've shown there, you have to be so thorough and go through everything because they're a blank canvas. And I think one way to look at it is you could think back to when you were starting. The view is like, if you think back to when you were starting your Amazon career, you didn't know any of this stuff, and you probably actually had more of a background because you might have known what Amazon is, or even might have done some selling on eBay, that kind of thing. But these VAs, unless you're looking to hire someone from Amazon, who's got Amazon experience, I personally don't recommend because of the reasons I stated. It's like a blank canvas and all this stuff, and you've got to create all this documentation, which at first I was like, oh, I'll do that because I want them to do it the way I'm sort of doing it, but it just takes so long. And I had like a couple of calls with Thomas Parkinson, like hour calls, and even getting sort of his tips and stuff, but then that's great, but you still got to go and do everything and create all the documentation, and which is fine, but then even if you do that, you're still going to miss bits out, and then it takes time because then they'll do something and then they'll get it wrong, and you go, okay, I've seen that, then you got to correct it. And I'm not saying it's the wrong way to do it, but like if you go back to the outsourcing theme, the whole point of it is so you're saving time really, or that's one way benefit of outsourcing, a big one. And if you're spending all this time to do it, you've got to value your own time. So like obviously not all of this was on creating training documents, but the first few weeks when I was sort of interviewing, and then the training sort of trial week I was doing like 60, 70 hour weeks, and a lot of it pretty much was on just sort of VA, like creating training documents, feedback. And then like a lot of the feedback, I probably wouldn't have had to do as much if I nailed it in the training. It's like if I had that training, it's like now if I was to go back and edit those training documents and then I do the feedback again, it'll probably take me a lot less time because I couldn't correct it. So I think in terms of an established course, if I look at it, two options: if you want to go and train a VA yourself or use a course to do that, I'm not saying either one's right, but me personally, having just gone through it, I think in hindsight, I'd definitely go for a course, just because you look at it, the time, the hours I've spent sort of in training them, what else, like the opportunity cost of that, what else I could have done with that time was just crazy. And I mean, it's something I didn't really think at first. I think it's one of those where I didn't think it would take as long as it did, but to be that thorough and go through all the videos, I mean, like I've got hours and hours and hours of videos and like feedback and like Skype calls where I've done feedback and then like recorded them, and it's great now, like I've got it, but it's like in reality, was that the best approach? Probably not. And you return about like relating to a deal sheet or whatever, where you get that return from the deal sheet on the money you spend. Like if you look at a course, if you spend money on a course and you think about, well, how much do you value your time? If you've got to spend 20 hours to put together all the training stuff, which is probably realistically what it took me altogether, because, well, maybe not that long, around there, but you think of that time to be really thorough to get everything done, and then the feedback and everything, it's like, what else could you have done in that time? And then the feedback on top of that, because you're not going to get it right first time with the training. And then I guess the other point of that is that you've got to be really confident with your processes. Yeah. Because if you don't, like if your sourcing's all right or whatever, and you've got that course, that can really help, because then you can obviously go through that first as well, look at it, and it might even sort of benefit you, or sort of have parts like for me, like I've obviously, for those who don't know, Dan's now sent me that course and I've looked through and I've gone, I wish I'm honestly saying this, I wish I'd had that when I was starting out in terms of the VA stuff, because it just would have saved so much time. I think I sent you a message earlier, it just would have saved a lot of time. And even on the manual sourcing front, like some of the stuff there would have probably just helped me. Even though I don't really do it if I did do it, but I looked through it and it's like, yeah, there's some interesting, useful stuff there. So I think that's sort of my 2 cents on it, coming from a point where I've just sort of been through it.
It's funny you should say that, because we've had a lot of people who've bought the virtual assistant training course from us, and who have said they've put themselves through it first. Which is a good thing to do, because then you understand what your VA is learning. So it's important you know what they know, because otherwise, if they know more than you, it's going to be tricky for you to assess them. But it's also because they've benefited from doing the training themselves, and it really is that in depth. From a if I'm sharing my screen again, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, it's good. I think it's a good way to sort of show it.
If I do a quick run through really of what it works, we call it Virtual Online Arbitrage. This is just the name we came up for it. So if you get Virtual Online Arbitrage, the first thing that you get is the client hub, and this is, when we talk about the client, we're talking about you. So in the eyes of the virtual assistant, you're the client. So what we do here is some of the things we've talked about today with regards to how to recruit a virtual assistant. We have a training course for you on how to recruit a virtual assistant. So how to write your job ad, for example. So I give an example of how not to write your job ad, and an example of how to write your job ad. And we go through where to do that and how to choose a virtual assistant. We'll go through how to manage and communicate with your virtual assistant. There's a ton of stuff in there, even sample documents like a non-disclosure agreement or a contract, which realistically you'll never be able to enforce, but I think they're a good option, because it helps from your VA's point of view, it helps formalize things in their eyes, and they are more likely to take you seriously if they have a contract and they have an NDA and things like that. And they will feel part of your company as well, which is really important, that they feel part of something. So you tell them your company name, so they can say, if they do talk to their friends, that who are they working for and things like that. So we've got a ton of stuff really to help people get started, and then the actual courses themselves. So we have the manual sourcing training, and we go through what we think we go through everything. So from how to use the training, some basics on understanding Amazon, because as you said before, Luke, that they may not have experience of Amazon, so we find it second nature. But understanding an Amazon product page, like what does each part of the page mean? This is really important, that we see things on there that we need to know about, because you might want your VA to tell you how many each other seller has in stock, for example, or where a keeper graph is. There's all sorts of things that they say we take for granted. So they say this is the manual product sourcing training. So we'll go through where to search for products, you saying about doing tests with some of your VAs, like how to match your source store products to the Amazon products. We've got a Chrome extension that we give free with the course, which helps with some of the product searching. We show them how to use that. We can show them how to check if something is restricted or hazmat, and things like that. And then again, the analyzing, and this is the really difficult bit to break down into training format, because you have to do it so step by step, and you can't make any assumptions along the way. You've got to give it them all on a plate. Sure. And we even go through things like how to record, I think how to do a work diary, so that they can report to you what it is they've done. We talked before about setting up a sourcing schedule. So in the client hub, we show you how to set up your own sourcing schedule, and in the virtual assistant training, we show them how to, read a sourcing schedule and complete a work diary. So as long as alongside the manual sourcing training, we've got training show VA how to use FBA Wizard, and we've also got training on how to use tactical arbitrage as well. So how to set up product searches, to do bulk stores and things like that, analyzing the results, reverse searches. So all the key things that you would expect for a training course. And again, some people have used our VA training course as a training course on how to use tactical arbitrage.
Yeah.
So that was not its intention, but it goes through the basics of it. It goes through the basics of it very well. So like I say, it's really we put it together based on our experiences, because when we had all this material that we had and we're using that for our own VAs, and like I say, other people were asking us, how do you train your VAs? Because at this point we had a team of 6, and people do see it as a really good method of outsourcing, and that's why we came up with it. And we've adapted it over time and try and keep it as up to date as possible based on changes in Keeper or changes in tactical arbitrage and things like that. But we've had a ton of people go through it, and we've had really good feedback. I don't think we've ever had a refund request on it, which is pretty cool for an online course. We're really proud of it, and like you say, you've had a look at it, and you can see how well it potentially could work for someone.
Sure. Yeah, I think, like I said, it's a really interesting position for me, having just gone through it. And I think the biggest thing I can't stress enough is putting together those training documents. Like, even just listing, you got to think about everything. Like, what is a buy box? Things you just take for granted. Like, what is a suppressed listing? Like, those kind of things you got to go through, and then spill your brain onto that piece of paper. But guys in the chat, if any of you do have any questions, stick them down, and then we will answer them all at the end. I'm making a note of sort of who's got a question. So do you want to talk a bit more about the course that just talks about the training course?
Yeah, sure. So like I say, I'll go back to my screen sharing.
I think it's a good overall, but just for anyone who might be interested.
Yeah, so like I say, I think, again, and we approach this from the point of view of in the same way that a virtual assistant has never done anything on Amazon before. This is aimed at people who know how to hire a VA or might have hired them before, but also people who start from scratch. Because I've been amazed and really impressed with the approach you've taken when you've been hiring your VAs, the interview process, the amount of them you've trialed, and the amount of effort you put into making sure that you've got the right way of doing it. And that's a lot of work up front, which will pay off. But some people won't necessarily know to do the research or to take that approach. I certainly was nowhere near that organised when we started hiring VAs. It was only after time that we were able to put things together to this level.
At the time, like if you got a full-time or part-time job, it's at the time I put it in, it wouldn't have been possible.
No, and like I say, to go to the point of if you pick any single one of these lessons, to go through the step-by-step where we do with the screenshots, and like I say, the glossary that we've put in, because what we found was important was as we know, VA, as we've talked about already, a virtual assistant will say, yes, I know what I'm doing, because they want to save face. So they will very rarely say that they don't know. So if a VA is going through something, they won't shout up and say, what is a source store? They just won't do it, if they've suddenly forgotten what that is. So we try and within there, put in reminders to try and embed that as well. And at the end of each sort of course, we also do an evaluation where they have to answer a series of questions in order to, and they won't be able to go on to the next section. They wouldn't be able to, I can, because obviously I'm the admin for this, but they won't be able to go on to the next section until they've completed the quiz on each one. And again, we thought that was really important because, as you said before, you've put a task in a video that you've done for them, and they've just skipped over that completely. So we can't have a VA doing that with the training, because they'll start giving you results that don't work, and you've got to try and figure out then what is it that's missing. So that's why we make sure that we go through, at the end of each section we have our evaluations. We found with manual sourcing that it was easier to do that in text format more than videos, but for a lot of the sourcing software, that it makes more sense to actually show someone what to do. So our videos, from logging in, how to access the screens and things like that. So we've done product website category search, bulk file search, even the relatively new easy bulk search we cover on how to do that on tactical arbitrage. So for tactical arbitrage and FBA Wizard, you can see we've very thoroughly gone through. We try and keep the videos down as short as possible, because from a learning point of view, we try to recognize that some people's learning won't always be by watching. If you watch a 15-minute training video on TA, which we could have done from start to finish, the knowledge doesn't get embedded. So we split them off so they can go back and watch them whenever they want, and we split it into sections. So we found that, so as well as the videos though, we've done walkthroughs as well. So for each of those things, because again, some people's learning style is suited to videos, some people's learning style is suited to reading and seeing that, again, we've got the screenshots and things like that. So everything that we have in a training video, we then replicate in a step-by-step process, so that they can go through that, and they will need to go through that as well as going through the video. So they can't choose, well, I will just do the videos. They've got to go through this, and at the quiz at the end, they've got to do an evaluation that will match. They've got to get everything right. And the way we do it, if I show you, so this is the sales page for it. I won't bore you with the whole sales page, but it shows everything that you need, that goes through that. You can see what you get in each section if you wanted to have a look at that. And the way we've done it, we kind of split it into 3 packages. So there's sourcing software training package. So this covers both TA and FBA Wizard, because those are the 2 most popular sourcing softwares. We may add Source Mogul on at some point. For the same price, you could get the manual sourcing package, and obviously that goes through all the manual sourcing that we've seen, and goes through the really in-depth ways on how to read keeper graphs, how to estimate sales and things like that. A really popular one is the sourcing software and the manual sourcing, and the reason people often go for this package is because when someone is up and running with their sourcing software with FBA Wizard or TA, there is some downtime when they are waiting for scans to finish and things like that. So especially if you've got a full-time virtual assistant, being able to do some manual sourcing or build up the training on that in between is it can be effective. I would say at first, I wouldn't throw someone into sourcing software and manual training, get them 100% on one or the other, and then introduce the alternative. Don't chuck them straight into it.
Yeah, that's.
Sorry, go on.
That's kind of one issue I've had, is that because I've got 6 just on one TA license. I've been running as many scans as I can, 10-day cache, and not enough data for like all 6 to go through. So I wasn't planning on doing any sort of manual stuff for a while, but I'm at the stage where I either have to get VAs going through the same data set, so like give 2 VAs the same data set, which is kind of a waste for me. Like at first I'll do it so I can compare and see. It's like after the first week, I got them all to do the same data for a day just so I could see it. It's weird. Like I had 8 VAs that week, and the max of one product I got to 4. So I mean that's weird. But even then, like that kind of hints at stuff, and you can get hints there. But what that allowed me to do was to see who was weak and who was strong, because they're getting the same data. They couldn't make any excuses. But obviously, if you're paying 6 people, you don't want them just finding the same results. So yeah, that's a good point that you mentioned.
It's a good exercise to get them to go through, once or twice. But yeah, if you're paying them every week full time, then if on their downtime they can start learning how to manually source, even if you don't have any high expectations. What that's doing is also building up their knowledge of Amazon, of keeper graphs, so that you can start giving them the URLs of a clearance section on a store that you like. And what we find as well is the sourcing software is fantastic, but it misses stuff, and the amount of stuff you can go on the same website. A good example in the UK is TK Maxx. I think they might have TK Maxx in the US, but anyway, if you go on TK Maxx, the sourcing software very rarely finds any matches, never mind any profitable products. And the reason for that is the titles on TK Maxx are just ridiculous. They're just they're bizarre. They sometimes bear little relation to the product, but when you look at the pictures, they match. They're the same product. So if we get a VA manually going through TK Maxx, they're going to find a ton more stuff that that the sourcing software isn't going to catch. So it's interesting. I don't think I've done it as an experiment, having Wizard and TA and a VA going through the exact same store at the exact same time, but it'd be an interesting experiment because I can guarantee there'll be stuff that they miss. So Luke, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it would help if I unmute my microphone. Sorry, that would help.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, that's great. I don't know if you want to sort of, because I know we do have an offer for people watching tonight. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I've shown you the sales page and the prices on that, but obviously, so can you see that on the right-hand side of the screen?
I don't know if it shows. Yeah, I think you sent the offer, but I don't think it shows for us. I think we had this the other day. So if you guys can say in the chat if you can see that offer that's just been sent, and let us know. It should work, because I think when Thomas and I did this last week, we couldn't see the offer, but other people could.
All right, I can see it.
Oh, can you see it?
Yeah.
It should appear in the chat as well, though. So if it's in the chat, but yeah, people are saying they can see it. So
okay,
that's cool.
So we don't normally discount VOA because there's a ton of stuff in there, and it took us a long time to put together, but we are really proud of it. So so just for today, well, for the next couple of days, we're going to do a 33% discount. So on any package, you don't have to buy the top price package, the manual sourcing, or the sourcing software, or the combined package, that we're going to do a 33% discount. So you've got to make sure you use Outsource 33 at checkout, otherwise you won't get the discount applied. So the link here takes you to the sales page that I've just shown you. When you choose the package that you want, that will take you to a checkout page, and on that page there'll be an option to choose put in your coupon. If you put in Outsource 33, that will give you your 33% discount, and that's going to be, we'll leave that available for a couple of days just to give you a chance to check everything out properly.
Yeah, so I think it's Bridget, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, sorry, said no. I think she might mean the offer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste a link and the information in the chat as well. So that should appear, and then so if you guys can't see the offer, there is also a link there, and that should just be broadcasted in the chat. So yeah, I think we're not going to hard sell this. It's up to you guys to make up your mind. I think I think the one thing we hope is that you got some value from these webinars. That's like my aim. So even if you're not interested in hiring a VA, just sort of the one key principle I'd say is just map your time and look at how you're spending it. Even if you don't want to outsource stuff, there'll probably be a lot of things you can eliminate. I mean, I'm a big fan of the 4-hour work week, and there's stuff in there like even just if you check your emails twice a day and you're time mapping, you'll see that. And it's like, do you really need to check it twice a day? And I'm sure a lot of people check it even more often than that. And while it is important, you have to check your emails. I mean, you don't need to do it twice a day. I do it once a day or once every 2 days, and that's just because I'd rather do it all in that one period, get it done. Because if you're checking it multiple times a day, you're being busy, but you're not necessarily being productive. So I think it's just what I'd hope. My goal is to get people thinking about ways they can sort of just be more productive in their business. And I think this course is just one way in which, because a lot of everyone here probably does do Amazon, in a way that they can be more productive in their business by hiring a VA to source products for them. But
yeah,
guys,
exactly. And even from, even if some people won't be ready to outsource yet, because it costs money, you've got to pay a prep center. If you outsource your bookkeeping, you've got to pay your bookkeeper. A VA will cost, there might not be huge cost, but it's from your business, and you might want to spend that on stock and prefer to do it yourself. But as Luke said, if you can get to the point where you have your processes documented and use that to make them as efficient as possible, and then use those to help plan your time in a week, so you're not jumping from one thing to another, and you were structured in your approach, you'll see a difference to your business just from that. And that will get to you to the point where you might be ready to outsource. So yeah, I completely agree. If you can just maybe take away some of those things, and if anyone missed anything from the beginning of this, you'll be sent the replay so you can catch that where we talked about the process side of things. Then I hope you find that useful.
And I know I have sort of touched on this, but just in hindsight, like me personally, this course would have just saved me so much time. And like, even if I'd gone for the most expensive package, or $300, that would now be, I know my maths is amazing, but I'm pretty sure that's 200 now. And like, you think about that, 160 quid maybe? And I just think about like 160 quid for the amount of time that I spend creating all those training documents and everything. And it's kind of just like a face palm moment kind of thing.
You're making me regret doing the discount now. You're making it sound too cheap.
Oh, no, I'm sure people will get a value out of it. But we do have a few questions. So Anthony asked, is it best to recruit a VA with no past experience of Amazon, or someone with loads of experience with Amazon?
Well, I mean, you answered the question earlier on as well. And I think we both agreed on the same approach in that. I'll share my screen one more time, because I can show you some sample wording from. So this is an example of if you can see it, something you might. A job advert you might do. So you can see in the job title it says full-time virtual assistant to run software and track results. There's no mention of Amazon anywhere in that, and nowhere throughout the job description we say the role will require you to follow documented processes to use specific software, reviewing data and logging results, blah blah blah. So nowhere in there do we mention anything to do with Amazon. And the reason is because if you do, you'll get 100 people applying who have been trained by someone else, will make their own assumptions. Even if you retrain them, they will still have the assumptions embedded from the previous training. And as you said before, Luke, you've got your blank canvas, train them from scratch, so you get them working exactly the way that you want them to work, following your criteria and your method of product sourcing, and that just makes a huge difference.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, if you want to hire someone who's Amazon experience, obviously that's got perks, but I know people who do that, but just, I think for both of us personally, we'd advise against it. But yeah, that's up to you, Anthony. It's definitely not you have to do either of them.
No. Just what I'd recommend.
Yeah. Mariana says that you have amazing packages, Dan. So that's cool. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. And she also says, thanks for the offer.
Very welcome.
And Graham asked if it's a 33% discount. So yeah, it is. Yes, Graham, that's correct. You just have to remember to use the code outsource33 at the checkout.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Mariana asked, does the offer include VAT?
There is no VAT charged on the price. So yes,
Awesome.
There's no VAT included.
Yeah.
So there'll be no added costs on top of that.
No, that's great, because I know some courses you click on it and it's like an extra 20%. You're like, oh, bloody hell. But yeah, no, that's cool. And Sharon says, this video has been a great help. I'm a beginner to FBA, so course is a little soon for me. I've got to learn the basics first. Great tips, thanks for tonight. Yeah, no worries, Sharon. I think as what Dan touched on, like even if you're a beginner, like it does teach everything, so it could help in that way. But obviously there are different guides out there. More, I don't know if you'd agree, but that the course is specific to product sourcing, should I say. And so it's just for a beginner. I don't know, I haven't been through all of it. Would you say, would it benefit someone, or would you say they need a more generic?
I wouldn't recommend. If you just wanted purely product sourcing, then I guess, I mean, we actually turned some of these lessons into a training course for people who are new to Amazon, you know, because some of the product sourcing. But no, I mean, you need to know how to set up your account, how to manage your account returns and inventory and repricing and things like that. And
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, like we said, Sharon, we're not here to hard sell. Like, yeah, we agree it's probably not for you. I mean, Dan does have.
I'm glad you got some tips, good tips out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Mariana says she'll definitely sign up. Awesome stuff. And Anthony says that he's already purchased the course. I don't know if that was tonight or if he's an existing customer, but awesome, great stuff, Anthony.
Excellent. Good to hear, Anthony. Correct.
Cool. All right, guys. Yeah, it's been great having you all join us. If you do have any questions, let us know. Now's the chance. Otherwise, you can always message. I'm happy messages myself, Luke Filer, and I'm sure Dan would be happy as well if you message him. Yeah, and obviously the replay will be automatically emailed to everyone once it's been processed. And I plan on uploading it to YouTube as well, just because the Webinar Jam replay is a bit clunky to use. You can't really skip through or go back or anything. So I'll upload it to YouTube as well. But yeah, no, thanks for everyone. Thanks for joining us. No worries, Sharon. Yeah. Good to have you. But yeah, cool.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for watching. That was good fun. I enjoyed it.
Cool. Cheers, guys. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Okay. Cheerio. Bye.